It has truly been the best and worst of weeks for President Donald Trump. Now, coming off the White House meeting with Vladimir Zelensky, that was all going great until the last minute when the beleaguered Ukrainian president got into a shouting match with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Well, after that, the commander-in-chief needed a win. And a win he got. This week, Trump addressed a joint session of Congress. It was not technically a State of the Union, but effectively it was the same sort of thing, and he got what he was looking for. Not just because he dropped a long, 100-minute-long speech without a hitch, but because the Democrats, still reeling from their loss in November and completely unable to deal with Trump's victory in November, were able to deal with it. But despite all that, there is still a bit of trouble on the horizon. But first, in case you missed it, here's some highlights of the speech. Now, the theme was, naturally, American renewal and a great American comeback.
Our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again.
Trump also called for tax cuts for every American, paid for by tariffs.
And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there. They're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you that.
And not only did he troll all the Democrats in that room there, he reeled off long lists. And here's just a sample of ridiculous stuff the American taxpayer had been forced to pay for in the pre-DOGE era.
$40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million.
Well, not surprisingly, the Democrats, who went to the last election calling themselves the Party of Joy, turned out to be churlish through the entire speech. They couldn't even clap when Trump announced the capture of one of the terrorists involved in the Abbey Gate bombing in Afghanistan. Watch them on the right of your screen when the camera pans to the audience.
Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity, and he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice.
Oh, Trump, what a monster, catching terrorists! How dare he? Oh, well, anyway, that's the Democrats for you. Trump also, and I want you to watch this, he talked about things like keeping biological men out of women's sport. And not only did Republicans, but most of the audience went nuts when he did so. Watch this worm here from one of the major TV networks that shows the reactions of Republican, Independent, and Democrat voters as he talked about the subject.
And I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
And that, folks, is why Trump won. Trump also, in his speech, went further than previous presidents who normally call out members of the audience to illustrate policy points. Well, he went the next step, bestowing gifts and prizes.
Jason's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a six-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets.
Well, congratulations to Jason, but the Democrats sat on their hands. And you know what? This, I thought, was the most disgraceful bit. They couldn't even clap when Trump made this young lad who's been suffering from brain cancer but has always dreamed of being a cop an honorary member of the Secret Service.
I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
How lovely is that? But the Democrats, well, they sat stone silent through that. Yes, even for that lovely moment. But it actually gets worse. This MSNBC host had a reaction to that moment that I can only say was well and truly deranged, suggesting if that young man became a cop, well, you know what? You listen.
And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Understand what just happened here. This kid was made an honorary Secret Service member. It's a lifelong dream. He's got cancer. And this woman is saying if he becomes a cop, she hopes he doesn't kill himself dealing with J6ers. How utterly sick, how utterly bizarre. But I'll tell you what. They didn't like it there at MSNBC, but the speech was a massive win with the viewers. 76% of those who watched it approved of the speech. 63% said Trump spent a lot of times on the issues they cared about, according to that YouGov poll there. But for Trump, this is great. But also, I got to do this too and inject a cautious note, because you can already start to see where the storm clouds are gathering around tariffs, trade, foreign policy, and the economy. In Europe, Donald Trump is being accused of deserting American leadership over Ukraine. After decades of bad policies around welfare and immigration and energy, Europeans have suddenly realized they can't keep putting their defense and all their other dumb decisions on the American credit card. But if it means the end of NATO and a militarily resurgent Europe, well, history is not a happy guide on that one. And all this gives his enemies a new line that America is unreliable under Trump and not a friend, can't be counted on. But in doing so, what they're essentially doing is reviving the old Russia, Russia, Russia line, saying that Trump is acting as an agent of Putin. It's wild stuff, but this is, yes, what they are going with. Now, Trump has also given automakers a short reprieve on tariffs, but again, the on-again, off-again nature of the policy suggests that Trump himself is using the tariff stick for something other than the economy. And Mexico, too, has won a reprieve from the tariffs for a month, suggesting we are in a negotiating cycle of provoke, negotiate, delay, and see where things land. But the final caution here, the Atlanta Fed is predicting a steep nosedive in the economy in the coming quarter, which means the media will be playing up the idea of a Trump session, fairly or not. So my takeaway is Trump had a hell of a good week with an incredibly good speech that got the American people behind him, but the media and his foes are coming. So for the Trump administration, warning bells are ringing.